How's it going, everybody? Welcome in to another War of the Visions video. We're going to be talking about the Master Ability 2s and the Dream upgrades that people got this week, and kind of discussing whether or not they are big changes, if the unit's worth, using if they have a Master Ability 2, or if they're worth upgrading, transcending if they got a Transcension at 140. So let's get into it. Let's start off with this Raldor wannabe. It's Lameiga, and it's a Master Ability 2. So there is one very nice thing here, which is that he has initial AP 20. That's a big amount of initial AP. You start the match with that. It's a big deal. It's very helpful. The problem is that he's stuck on Pugilist, which admittedly is not that great of a job. Now, Raldor is doing it justice. He's an amazing unit, but he also has a ton of survivability. He has very high resistances, very high defense. So, and even, he's got things like barriers, etc. So he has ways to survive and to take advantage of his strike damage, whereas Lameiga doesn't really have access to that. He's got evasion, but he also has 2 attacks that want him to take hits so that he can deal more damage. It's all very strange, but really, I mean, what you're looking at is a starter dark unit for someone that completes a selection quest, so he's fine in that regard, but he's not going to be special in any way. Then we have one of the fastest units in the game. It is Niv'Lu, and this is a pretty good upgrade. She got missile attack penetration, 20% attack, and also the the generic lightning HP and attack up for herself and the allies, which is all very good. So I think that she's still waiting for a good dream ability, but this is a nice little buff that means that when she comes up against a missile resist team, she can do a little bit more, because she can get to 40% with your either 30 with your trust stones, 40 with your bow, whatever it is. But I think that she's still a very useful unit. For those of you that are new to the game, she is a very, very good manual unit because she's so fast. She has time age sub jobs, so she can do hasting of people, and I believe, it's been so long since I've seen her, but I believe that yes, she also has quicken. So she's a really interesting unit. Very, very fun for manual players. Good to see her up. Now this next unit, this one, I have a nickname for her that I gave when I first saw her. It's the Gravity Defier. I wonder if you can figure out why, but she got her upgrade as well, her Master Ability 2. It's kind of interesting. She got a decreased casting time, 400. That's actually pretty big. You get 600 with a trust stones on, so that's all really solid. And she also got the chance to apply poison. Now there's also lightning resistance and stuff for an anti-lightning team, but the chance to increase to inflict poison's very interesting, because it gives her a 45% base chance on her giant AoE Stonega Poison Fang, which is a 200 cast time, but now she only needs 2 ticks if you have your trust stones and everything set up for it to go off. So that's actually pretty interesting as a skill. She's still a very slow MR that is going to go down real easy. She has healing power up. Like, basically the main thing that's holding her back is if she was a little bit faster, then I think she'd actually be a pretty interesting manual unit. She's definitely very, very solid for the Earth Selection quest, and if you already have her, this is a great boon for PvE, but for PvP it's not really that big of a deal. Then we have Mia, who is one of my most hated story units, but this is a pretty weird upgrade. So she actually has this thing where she gets lots of defense and spirits. Now she has 20 more defense, which puts her at 40 defense, I believe, which is pretty high. But she's also kind of known for being this super low cost mobile unit that you can fit into a party and cost limited content, and then you can use her to steal heart or whatever, make her an evasion unit, whatever it is. She has evocation gauge boost 60, which is again very, very interesting for a summon party effect if you want to go for something where you're trying to get an evocation up as soon as possible. And if you're kind of forgetting what she's used for, I mean, here's your upgrade where she gets defense and spirit in spades, but what she's used for is actually a whole bunch of imperiling. So she's got the 30% slash imperil and then 30% single target imperil. So she's also very strong for any sort of PvE where you don't have those imperils and you need to bring them on a budget. She can help you out there. Let's move on to the dream upgrades. First up is Kitone, who gets some magic and missile resistance and an upgrade to her debilitator skill. The magic and missile resistance is kind of referencing her Utsusemi shadow upgrade, which gives some magic and missile resistance as well as evasion rate. So this skill here is really interesting because now that's 35% total extra once she has it on, and that means that her magic resistance is going to be at positive 25, her missile resistance is going to be at positive 35, and that's, you know, after vision cards on and equipment, etc. But, you know, really you don't want her to get hit, you want her to evade. So let's see what else she got. This debilitator upgrade doesn't seem like a lot at first sight. It's still the same range and height and everything. You know, you've still got your sweet imperil. They really, I think, should have moved that imperil in front. Like, that's not a big deal to just do a little bit more damage. But what happens here is that she gets increased healing power. It basically combos with her drain force, so her drain force will heal her more. But again, you know, you don't really want her taking too much damage, but if you are building a drain force build, then she has high HP, maybe she has high resistances, maybe she does want to take a little bit more damage and heal more, and this is going to help keep her in help drain force be viable. But what a lot of people are using her for now, and I'm kind of like really speaking to live in this video, is actually for her limit burst for the stop chance, and then just to pester people with evasion and maybe drain force, whatever it is. But the big thing to bring her is mobility, get over there, shut down one player or one opponent, and then kind of move in on the team after that. So Whisper also got a dream upgrade, and basically we're getting more resistances. What this does is gives a ton of pierce and missile resistance to her, and it also adds a hate up skill to her protection break. So we saw here's a defense spirit break, which is a great thing for a tank to use, but now it has hate up. The range is still garbage, but if she's tanking, then people are coming towards her, so that's okay. She'll use this skill because it's a high damage, high modifier skill with breaks that apply before the damage. So it is going to be really interesting to help your team get online for damage, but also to keep her the focus of your enemies. The issue that I have with this upgrade is that while her resistances look really good, and while she can't be attack type broken, you can't imperil her slash resistance, for instance, you can still penetrate all of her resistances. Now, admittedly, Pierce does not have a lot of penetration, Strike does not have a lot of penetration. Those are some areas that you can target with her. She is an interesting unit because she's able to be built for free from the guild shop. So I actually think that new players with Sephiroth that are looking for a, you know, accessible dark tank, this is an option for you. However, we know Raph is coming out in the future, and that's someone that you can save up for. She's not going to be pushing the heights of the meta, but she is going to be a solid tank, especially against teams that are not prepared to deal with her resistances. Okay, so next up is Frederika. She gets AoE resistance to help her survive. She's pretty flimsy, really. She dies to one hit of most things unless she reflexes. She gets even more damage with missile attack up, and then piercing shot gets an upgrade, which is an interesting skill. It gives a big defense penetration boost to her. It's way easier to cast now because people can be within this range. Like you see, there's this gap where she can't hit people, but it had that 5 range. It still has the 5 range, but she can actually hit people that are closer towards her on tight maps and get her defense penetration and her attack buff online. Really, that's not what we use her for, though. We use her for her ranger skills and her ability to kind of chain with her lightning counterparts from a distance. So I don't know if this is a massive upgrade for her, but it's certainly not a bad one. If you really like Frederika, you can upgrade her. I'm personally not going to be doing it. Now we're on to the MR upgrades, and this one's kind of interesting. We've got Seymore with a 40% defense penetration upgrade, which puts him at 70% innate, and then the Dream Weave Mastery upgrade, which is a passive. Basically what's happening here is that his decreased AP consumption goes from 20% to 40%, which is a pretty big upgrade. Like, he's basically, if you generate enough AP at the beginning of a match, he's going to be popping off skills for quite a long time. It's going to be really solid. His damage is quite high. He just needs to, you know, hopefully take on some people with lower slash resist, or, you know, you just have to give him as much penetration as you can because it's tied to Congo here, which is harder to get off at first. but that's okay because we can get some innate from like a weapon or trust stones or whatever until you know, you can get this online. So this is one that I'm going to do eventually as a fire player. I think other fire players might do it. It's not necessary if you're using him for PvE content, but it is, I mean, if you do use him for like what do you call it, selection quests, defense penetration is one of the best things you can get. But otherwise, I think that, you know, he's still going to do a really good job in that type of content already. Shadowlynx is a very interesting upgrade because she is obtainable for free for all the new players, and she gets some typed evade, which is really good for her. Like, she can become quite evasive, especially against Slash and Pierce, which are two very popular attack types. The issue is that new players can't really build evasion that easily, so this doesn't really help those players, but again, they can't really pivot her whole character. So this is fine for people that are really dedicated to, you know, dark evasion. They want to build a Shadowlynx. I still don't think that, you know, she really holds up because of 100% hits and how flimsy she is, but she will be very useful for people that want to run her in selection quests. She can solo a lot of selection quests, and this is something that, you know, I think just big dark fans are going to want to do, because the Dark Haze still, again, not a huge deal. It's kind of interesting in that it makes the AP consumption 50% more for anybody that it blinds. So that is cool. But again, I don't think that she's really usable for the most part in most content. If you think I'm wrong, let me know, by the way, but I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I still think new players should build her. I just don't think that they should transcend her. Then we have the fan favorite unit of Dr. Diggs. It is Sir O, and the upgrade here is pretty interesting. There's some slash resist penetration, which is fine, right? So we can get up to 60% on his kit. With that Congo, if the attack comes off, he gets even more luck for his evasion, and then his illusion gets upgraded. It's a small upgrade, but it is interesting. So for those of you that don't know, O can be quite evasive because he has 25% evasion rate on his master ability. He's got another 12 here, but then his illusion skill, instead of giving 25 evasion to himself, it gives himself 50% extra evasion. So yes, he can become quite evasive. His Hien gives him 20% agility. He gets a lot of evasion. Again, the problem is that 100% will totally wreck this guy. But the buff that he got was that all of these skills last for one extra turn, which I do think is relevant. If you are coming up against a non-accurate team, then this will totally help. This means you don't have to apply the buffs as long. This is really nice for something like manual, but it's also very, very powerful in auto. This is a good upgrade. If you're using him, especially as an evading unit, then it's a great upgrade, and you can continue to use him. Otherwise, you know, there's nothing too special. I think, again, this is a favorite. You know, if this is your favorite unit, you upgrade them, and if he's not, you don't. Ramada, what did you get? Hey, look, it's what I love. Initial AP 20, attack 20%, and then Dread Spear Dive. This is actually a really great upgrade. She's going to be dealing much better damage with initial AP so that she can really fire off a lot of skills. That Dread Spear Dive is a very powerful skill, but what they did is they gave it the healing power down, which is incredibly important, right? Like, this shuts down all of those self-heal skills that everybody seems to have these days. The only issue is it still has this very difficult range to work with. I wish that they had given that diamond area to actually try to hit with. She's still really solid. The fact that she has a Dispel, and the fact that she has the magic resistance and spirit upgrades and stuff, so she can actually buff the magic survivability of your team. She's still a really interesting MR. So I think, again, if you really like her, you can build her. This is one of the stronger dream upgrades in my eyes. This is a unit that I upgraded. It's Naiah, so I took her to 140. One of the reasons I did that is just because I'm using her in CM right now, but also she's also very good for limited guilds battle. You can use her in a non-fire team because she just heals like a champ no matter where she is. But more agility, good. More TP, Normally that seems really weird for a white mage. It's absolutely essential. And then her Curaga got upgraded. If we go and take a look at it, what we see here is there's an extra use and a decreased TP cost. You love to see it. This is a really strong upgrade. She just becomes even more of the prototype amazing white mage that, you know, all white mages should be modeled after. Really like her upgrades. She's a very solid 140 for a lot of players. This is, I haven't actually really recommended anybody yet. I would recommend 140ing her and using her in all the limited content that you want, because she is really easy to put into a lot of different element teams. Just to be a 40 cost healer that enables you to use some of your UR characters, or maybe better vision cards and espers, whatever it is, she's really solid. All right, there we have it. That's the video. Hopefully it was useful for you. And you can let me know if I kind of underrated a unit, if there's an application for the unit that I didn't consider that you think should be out there. Mention it in the comments, then other people can see that. They can learn about the unit as well. I personally won't upgrade any of these units, but I already did upgrade Naiah. She's the exception. So she's good. I recommend her. Every single other one of them is a passion project that you have to decide on. I don't think any of them are particularly special. The exception, of course, again, is Naiah. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.